Hi, I'm Leslie. I'm a school counselor and I use art to help children understand their emotions and build their character. Lately, I've been thinking, if this works so well with kids at school, why wouldn't families want to embrace these concepts and help their kids build character at home through fun games and crafts and activities? A lot of what we call social and emotional learning is really about values and building character and how we handle life. And as a parent, I want to have that responsibility for my kids to know what I expect of them. And I just think it would be great to do that in like a fun and creative way. So each month I'm going to focus on a specific character trait, and for January I have decided to use perspective. So I created this coloring sheet, and it's a picture of a man standing on a compass looking out onto the horizon, gain some perspective. So with every drawing that I will have a story to go along with it, and each week we're going to go through that story with a new lens of an expressive arts. So you don't need art skills to do this. So I want you to think about, have you ever felt like this guy? The one in the middle, where you start to look overhead of something and you're just, maybe sometimes you feel really heavy inside. You're very overwhelmed by all the things coming at you. But all of those little things, they start to add up and your focus is here and here and here. But instead, sometimes we need to look at the bigger picture and look at the broad perspective of life. And to that effect, since I've told you that we're talking about hearing today, what happens when we only look at one perspective? Our view and our beliefs start to narrow, and it makes it harder for us to understand other people who might have other points of view, other beliefs. And it's okay for them to have those beliefs, and it's okay for you to have yours. But when you focus and narrow so much, it's hard to bring understanding to other people who may be different from us. Listening can change how we see things. So as I create a mixed media art piece from this drawing, I'm going to tell you the story of Horizon Seer, and I want you to think of, what does this person hear to start to change his perspective?
I first began by taping a watercolor sheet to the table, and then I got a tracing paper and put that underneath, and then I'm tracing each of the lines here. Typically, you should use like a red pen or something that stands out so you know what lines you have already previously done. As I paint this, I use different techniques, like start with dry brushing, and then I do a scraping technique with the paint. I also add in some stenciling, and I also add in some paper elements as well. And then, of course, I use an acrylic marker to add some details. Let the story begin. High above the shoreline, the Horizon Seer stood on a great stone compass carved into a cliff. The sea stretched endlessly before him, but lately its beauty only deepened the ache inside his chest. Sadness settled over him like a fog, whispering that he was small and alone in a world too vast to hold him. He stared at the waves and wondered, what difference do I make? Where do I even belong? Each day felt the same, quiet, heavy, disconnected. He watched ships drift for beyond his reach and felt himself drifting too, swallowed by the thought that nothing he did mattered. He stepped into the center of the compass, hoping for direction, but everything around him looked blurred by sorrow. Then, just as the sun dipped toward the horizon, a gust of warm wind circled him, stirring the compass markings beneath his feet. Instinctively, he lifted his gaze. Instead of looking at the waves crashing below, he followed the line where the sky kissed the sea. The sunset blazed orange and pink, and stretching across the world like a reminder. Something inside whispered, "There is more than this moment. Lift your view." As he breathed in colors, the heaviness softened. He realized the sadness had made his world small, shrinking everything to what hurt. But when he widened his view, he felt threads of connection everywhere. The wind brushing past him, the sea breathing its endless rhythm, the sun returning faithfully at the day's end. He was part of something vast, woven into the world in ways he had forgotten to see. He stepped to the compass edge with renewed steadiness. The direction he needed wasn't a single line carved in stone. It was the understanding that every path connects to something bigger than the moment he was in. For perspective is the ability to look beyond the ache of now and remember that we belong to a world wider, deeper, and more connected than we can see up close.
So we have our final finished piece here, and I added a little person to it. You know, kind of like a child is watching, because children are really watching their parents. So that's why, you know, this is kind of important. Listening is just one way that we can shift perspective, but it's not the only way. And so next week we'll be exploring how the body can change perspective through feeling it. So January 30th, I will post on my Etsy the coloring sheet plus the story and the examples of our art activities, how to complete them, as well as the Hear It, Feel It, See It, Think It program that I offer so that you can practice these different activities and things at home with your family. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.